in a major embarrassment for India. Two Indian athletes have been thrown out of the Commonwealth Games for breaching the no needles policy at the Games. Race walker KT Irfan, who finished 13th in the men's 20-kilometer race walk, and triple jumper AV Rakesh Babu, who was supposed to compete in the men's triple jump final later today, have been removed from the village. The accreditation of these two athletes has been suspended with effect from 9 a.m. Gold Coast time this morning. Babu will not be permitted to compete in the final, and the athletes will have to leave Australia immediately. The Commonwealth Games Federation has taken strict action after needles were found in the rooms of these two athletes. India had been warned about the strict no-needle policy at the Games after an Indian boxing doctor was found guilty of the same. And this controversy has indeed taken away the sheen of India's performance at the CWG in 2018. And to bring us more details on the story, I am joined in by our sports editor Digvijay Singh Deo, who's joining us live from the newsroom. Digvijay, clearly a very embarrassing moment for India after its terrific performance in the last few days at the CWG.
Absolutely, and just before I get to this, I'll just inform everyone that India has won its 15th gold medal of the Commonwealth Games, with Tejaswini Sawant leading a 1-2 in the women's rifle three-position event. But getting back to this story, absolutely disgraceful. I think that's the right word. Embarrassing is not the word, because India had been given a prior intimation before the game started. Remember, before the game started, the Indian boxing contingent was under the scanner. It created a lot of negative headlines around the world. A severe reprimand was issued to the doctor. He was let off only because he was going to a games for a first time and did not know the rules. The Indian Olympic Association was clearly told that we will be very strict from now on. The question now arises as to what has happened with these two. I think what has happened in the last half an hour since we last spoke is that KT Irfan and Rakesh Babu are teammates. A syringe has been found in the bag of Rakesh Babu. Rakesh Babu says, I have no idea how this happened, but clearly that explanation has not been accepted. I think KT Irfan has been a bit of a bystander in this, who's been caught in the entire quagmire. A cleaning lady at the Games Village found a disposed syringe in a cup in that room. So KT Irfan at the moment has the benefit of the doubt. But Rakesh Babu, who was to compete this evening in the triple jump fire event, his bag, when they searched the room, they found this syringe. Also, not just these two athletes, a severe warning has been issued to the IOA chef de mission, and they've been told that you will be the next one kicked out in case further incident like this happens. It just goes to show a hopeless situation among the Indian contingent in Gold Coast.
Right. Digvijay, you just mentioned that, one of them actually has a benefit of doubt. So what happens next?
Well, the IOA has the option to appeal, but I don't think that's going to help right now. KT Irfan, the race walker, had his event on the first day of athletics. He's finished. He has been asked to leave Australia by the first flight. Any appeals and anything else that happens will probably only clear somebody's name later on. At the moment, the most important thing is that the accreditation has been suspended. I have been to previous games, be it the Olympics, the Commonwealth and the Asian Games. Your accreditation card, Akanksha, is your visa to that country. So the moment the accreditation is withdrawn, in this case the accreditation has been withdrawn, they've been asked to leave the Games Village. That means you have to leave Australia immediately, because technically you do not have a visa anymore. I think, we blame a lot of our officials also, but at this time the athletes have to be severely pulled up and strict action has to be taken. We tend to forget and we get them back into the Indian team. If people have been sent home from such games in disgrace, I do not think they deserve to ever play for India again.
Right. Digvijay, you said that, we need to take some severe, strict action against this, because let's not forget that just few days ago, right, when the Commonwealth Games were all set to kick off, the syringes were found in the compound and a strict warning had been issued, but it just seems that, they've almost become thick-skinned about the entire matter.
Well, at one point you will blame the officials, the IOA contingent officials who are there. But I think, let's face it, they've done their job. They too were part of that reprimand. They were warned by the Commonwealth Games Federation that ensure this does not happen again. What do? They will further pass it on to the team managers. In most cases, some team managers are former athletes. Like you go to shooting right now, and the team manager is Ronak Pandit. Ronak Pandit is a former Commonwealth Games gold medalist himself. So they have passed it on to the athletes. Now, if the athletes are stupid enough, despite a warning, despite being told that any further mess up happens, you're out of here, if they still continue to do it, I think the athletes have to take the blame in this case. That's why I'm just re-emphasizing that at the moment what I'm being told is that KT Irfan may actually be completely innocent in this. He's been kicked out because he was part of that same room and he was a roommate of Rakesh Babu, in whose bag a syringe was found. When they were cleaning the room, they found a used needle. But then later, when it was checked, they found a syringe in his bag, as a reason of which both were kicked out, because they obviously could not figure out. The explanation was, I don't know where it came from. Well, I don't know doesn't happen anymore in world sport. It's been long enough in Indian sport, and clearly India have a history. And when you have a history, people are watching out for you.
Right. You know, Digvijay, you said that, one of them could just be a bystander, but that also goes on to say how strict they are with their no needles policy. Could you also elaborate for our viewers, what this policy is all about?
Well, the fight against doping is paramount in any sport, be it the Olympic Games, be it the Commonwealth Games and the Asian Games. There is a clear protocol in place, especially at these games or the Olympics, that no athlete or doctor can actually use needles to inject athletes apart from specific places. Obviously, there are cases when the athlete is down with fever and immediately there has to be some kind of a procedure undertaken. But there are venues for it. There is a medical room. There is medical room in the village. There is a medical room even in the venues where the action is happening. So those are designated areas. And apart from these areas, there cannot be any needles found anywhere in the compound. The Indians were lucky the first time. I was very surprised that the Indian doctor got away. I was told by sources in the IOA that the Indian doctor would be kicked out of the games village just before the game started. He was given the benefit of the doubt, Akanksha, because it was the first time he was going to a games. So the letter which came, the reprimand which came from the Commonwealth Games was that educate your team, educate the doctor, and make sure this does not happen again. The fight against doping is something which will not be taken lightly. Across the world, people are taking action. Big names are falling into the dope net, be it Maria Sharapova, be it the biggest names like Ben Johnson at the Olympic Games. So clearly, India have a history at the Commonwealth Games in 2002, in 2006. Apart from 2010, we've always faced controversy. So India is on that watch list.
Right.
And it's not good for the image of India in world sport.
Absolutely. It's absolutely not good for India's image at world sport. And as you rightly mentioned that, India has had a history of doping at CWG. How do you think that, education will do enough?
Okay, I'm just going to pause for a moment because I'm joined by former Indian hockey coach and former Australian Olympian Michael Nobbs. Michael, before the game started, there was a lot of talk across the world about these Indian athletes in the eye of a doping storm. 2 of them have been kicked out because a syringe has been found in their room, the no needles policy, extremely strict action taken. How do you respond to it?
Well, look, when I was coaching the hockey team, and since that, we've all known quite conclusively that there is a no needles policy. It's been known for quite a few years now. Dr. Nayak, who is our doctor, who's one of the eminent doctors in India, explained it all to us as coaches and to the players that it is absolutely a no needles policy. And it's written, I think, in Olympic medical guidelines as well. It's a very well-known policy.
Michael, just explain this to me. Michael, for a layman, for the viewers watching, explain this to our viewers. When you say no needle policy, is it strictly limited to the athletes' village where the athletes are staying? There obviously will be places in the athletes' village when the doctors can inject the athletes, especially in case of requirement?
Look, there is medical requirements in there, and you can have a needle, but that's a strict policy that is undertaken with the medical committees and the doctors of the team itself, and it's all noted and documented. There is a lot of the things that occurred was that you would find that athletes were using vitamin infusions and all sorts of things like that to get an advantage over. And so the Olympic committees and the medical groups organised that there is absolutely a no-meetings policy. And this is strictly for a medical emergency or under the supervision of the medical staff. So
Michael, how do you look at this? The fact that India was issued a warning right before the game started. We were speaking about it on our show Gunning for Glory. And then it's happened again. Clearly, you know, it's tendency here in India to blame the officials. But in this case, the officials have been reprimanded as well. They passed the message down. It's not just shameful, it's disgraceful, and it's completely idiotic for these two athletes to be doing this.
It's crazy. The drug policy, and this is what it is drugs, that's what we're talking about, whether it's vitamins or drugs in itself. Every athlete knows when they sign the declaration that whatever they put in their mouth or inject in their body, they are 100% responsible for. Not the doctors, not the administration or government officials. The athletes sign a declaration that they will put nothing, they will not put a needle, they will put anything. They are absolutely responsible themselves. So any penalties that occur are directly a result of the athletes. It's just strictly forbidden. We all know this. No, I'm really angry that two Indians have went and done something so stupid. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael Nobbs, and this story will dominate our top focus at 3:30 on Gunning for Glory as well. But Akanksha, as Michael Nobbs was saying, he's coached India at the Olympic Games, so the no-needle policy is known to everyone. It's absolutely incredibly dumb, if that's the right word to use, and it's not a harsher word than I want to use, for an athlete to find a syringe in his bat and say, I didn't know where it came from. You are ultimately responsible for what is found in your body. That is the first rule of anti-doping. And you are responsible for what is found in your luggage. If you are saying a used needle has been found in your room, secondly, when the search happens, a syringe is found in your suitcase or in your bag in this matter, who else is responsible?
Absolutely, Digvijay. And unfortunately, this happens, or this has happened just before the Commonwealth Games is all set to wrap. It's taken away India's sheen from the Commonwealth Games. We'll continue to track this story. For now, thank you so much, Digvijay, for bringing us all those details.